The shir is officially called Baal Shem Tov ala Parshah. So the Parsha this week is Chayei, but there was something last week which we overlooked, maybe, we did something else, and something very, very important that I think it's nogea to everybody. It's something which we can apply and use and appreciate, and it's something which was a renewal for me as well. I want to share with you, and anyone who I told it to was sort of, in shock, giving this the importance that they didn't realize it had. And this is the following. The Parshat starts off last week, Vayeira-Vayeira Avraham. Hashem appeared to Avraham, and in the second pasuk it says, "V'hinei shlosha anashim amdim," and there's three people who didn't know that they were malachim at the time. And what did he do? He went to take care of the guests that came to him. So this is something which is very, very troublesome. Why is it very troublesome? Because the pasuk starts off, Parsha starts off, Vayeira Hashem el Avraham. That means Avraham was undergoing a nevuah. He was having a prophetic session with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That means you are deeply, deeply, detached from the world. You're having a meditative communication with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. What do you do? Let me ask a question. What do you do if you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei? You're davening at home. You're not davening with a minion, whatever reason, you couldn't make it to shul, whatever. You're davening at home, middle of Shemona Esrei. You hear a knock on the door. What are you going to do? You go to the door, answer the door?
This dilemma.
Huh?
I asked Rabbi Diamond, I said, we're going to go into a 5:25 Maariv, and I have a telephone appointment with my doctor at 5:30. What do I do?
All right, so get back to our question. You're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and someone knocks on the door.
Where you're not supposed to answer.
What would you do? From the reaction that I saw here, most people said they wouldn't answer the door.
Right.
And that's only Shemona Esrei. How do you compare that to a prophetic, of a prophecy? You have a nevuah with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and there's communication there. And he's going to worry about who's knocking at the door at the time. So Abraham went to the door. He went to the malach. He didn't know they were malachim at the time. He went. So Gemara comes along and says, you see here, Gedola hachnasas archin yoser mehakpolas pnei hashchina. It's great, otherwise Abraham knew exactly what he was doing. I'm surprised that he even heard or knew that there was somebody at the door. And the truth is the matter, when you're davening Shemona Esrei, you should be so into it that you're detached from your surroundings. You don't know what's going on. I'm talking to God now. I mean, what do I care what's going on around me? Talking to God. You want him to listen to you, you got to talk fully, with your whole heart, with your whole soul, everything. Totally involved. No connection to the world around you. Nothing at all. And somehow, he was probably deeper than what I explained right now about Shemona Esrei, to have a nevuah, and nevertheless, somehow, he was aware of the people that came, and he went to them. So, the only conclusion that you can come to is, Avraham knew exactly what he was doing, and Gedol HaChnot Azarchim, Yosem Merkbol B'nei. Okay.
Maybe it was 11th test. The 11th test, maybe.
What does that mean, 11th? I don't know what that means.
They had 10 trials.
No.
So Hashem, he's in the middle of the davening. Hashem says, I'm going to make more of these people come. Let's see what he does.
Well, I didn't hear that anyway. All right, you want to say maybe? Okay, you could add something to the Chazal if you want. add another Perush. He had more than 10 and 11. All right, good. It's still a very, very big wonder. It's a very, very big wonder how this thing can happen. I don't understand exactly why it happened, but I can say one thing, a little bit of an understanding of what is Avraham. I had a big discussion about this on Shabbos. Some people came to my house, and I tried to explain to them what Avraham, what is the objective Avraham? What is objectively, how do you analyze this human being who's called Avraham? So, from what I learned from our Torah, our Chazal, and the Hasidus, the Kabbalah, all of the Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, all represent, or let's call it more than represent, personify. They personify a particular kind of characteristic. Avraham personifies Chesed, Yitzchak personifies Gevura, and Yaakov personifies Tiferes. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. Now, you have to understand that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, the physical world, before he created the physical world, he created spiritual energies. Spiritual energies. They preceded the physical world. And there was a lot going on before the physical world was created. A lot going on. There was creation, there was destruction in the spiritual world as well. There was destruction in the spiritual world as well. And there's rebuilding, and we're constantly, even today, trying to rebuild that destruction that took place in the spiritual world. In any case, the spiritual world has 10 levels. We call them 10 spheres. And the first 3 are like the crown. They're up on top of the shoulders, like the head. And the body of the spiritual world starts from the shoulders down. And how many levels are there? If there's 3 up there, so there's 7 down below. 3 and 7 is 10. And each one of these 7 has a name. The right side is called Chesed. The second side is called Gevura. The torso is Tiferes. The right thigh is Netzach. The left side is Hod. The bris milah is Yesod. And then we have Malchus, the last one. So Malchus is sort of detached. All the 6 feed the last spiritual one called Malchus. Okay. So the world is governed by these 7. The world is governed by these 7. Yom Rishon, today, is Chesed. Tomorrow, Yom Sheni, is Gvura, and so on and so forth. And we get to Shabbos, is the last one is Malchus. Let's get back to the others again. Avraham is personified by the midah of Chesed. You have to understand what that means. He's the first of the 7. He's like the father of his 6 below. He is in charge. He is the father of them. Above him you have the Chesed Chochmah Bina. But Avraham is the first. And all of the 6 that follow after Avraham all have his influence in them. So Chesed will influence Gevura, Chesed will influence Tiferes, all the way down. Chesed will go through all. Like a father who has children, the father influences all of the children that are born afterwards. Not only the first child, but all of the children are influenced by the father. Even if he has 20 children, the 20th also will be influenced by the father, because he's the father. Now, if that's so, you can understand. People came to my house yesterday, asked me, how could Avraham Avinu try to bargain and try to save Sodom? He's arguing with Hashem. If there are 50, we will save Sodom. If there are 45, we will save Sodom. And Hashem agrees. How could, these are Rishoyim, these are Nazis, worse than the Nazis. Yimach Shemo. What? Avraham, the personification of Chesed, he's trying to save Sodom. He's trying to plead for Sodom. What's going on?
And he has to do it for his own son.
Excuse me?
He does not do it for his own son.
Okay, we're not going to get to a Kedis Yitzchak now, right now. So my answer to them was the following. You have to understand what it means to be a personification of chesed. You have to understand what that means. Chesed knows nothing else except chesed. That's all it can do. It can't do anything else. That is the nature of this midah, of chesed, of kindness. That is its nature. It cannot do anything else. That is what it is supposed to do in the world. Spread chesed. Yes.
We learn that one has chesed against NACHLAOT. It's wrong.
So how do you? All right. So he's asking, how could you be kind to cruelty? The answer is your intention is that the cruelty will change. Cruelty will change. I was told that there were people who made deals with Hitler, Yimach Shemon. Jews made deals with Hitler, Yimach Shemon, hoping that slowly they'd be able to convince him or change his mind, whatever it is. Same idea in a sense. Anyway, this helps to explain why Abraham can possibly plead for Sodom. Not that he, in any way, this is the complete opposite of his nature. The Abraham is the personification of chesed, of kindness, and their personification of cruelty. But he's hoping that just like he influences all the other levels below him, the Gvura, the Netzach, the Hod, the Yisod, he influences all of those that come after him, he can influence also the negative too, Sodom, and eventually maybe they'll do tshuva, whatever. Okay. That was just parenthetical to explain what it means a midah. And Yitzchak and Yaakov also, they personified a particular characteristic. Yitzchak, Gvura, not chesed. It means he had the power to overcome all of his natural instincts to sacrifice his life. His father tells him, Hashem wants you as a korban. Okay. Hashem wants me, I can do it. This is my midah. It's good. It's an inner strength. It's an inner strength. It doesn't mean power, muscle power. It's an inner kind of a strength, part of a person's characteristic. Okay. Now, let's get back to this again. Gedolah hachnosas orchin, Yosef mihakbolas b'nei shchina. Notice the words of Chazal, they're very, very makbid in grammar and the way they write things. It doesn't say kabbolas b'nei shchina. It doesn't say kabbalah, it says hakbolas with a head. Gedolah hachnosas orchin, Yosef mehakbolas b'nei shchina. What is the difference between hakbolas b'nei shchina and kabbolas b'nei shchina? The extra head. What does it mean? What does it mean? Translated. What does it mean into English? What is the difference between kabbolas b'nei shchina or hakbolas b'nei shchina? The answer is kabbolas b'nei shchina means to receive. I mean kabbalah. Kabbalah b'nei shchina. So Gedolah hachnosas orchim. It's greater for me to have orchim come into my house than to receive the shchina. But that's not what Chazal say. They say, Gedolah hachnosas orchim Yosef mehakbolas b'nei shchina. Hakbala means to be opposite, not to receive. It means to be opposite. And he was opposite. He was undergoing a prophetic session with the Kadosh Baruch Hu at the time. There was some communication between them. And he stopped it to go to the guests. So you see that the Hachnos Orchim is greater than the communication that he's had opposite him. He was conversing with the Shekhinah, with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and opposite him was it. He left it. That's what I asked you before. You're talking to Hashem. Are you going to go answer the door? Somebody knocks on the door. You're going to go answer the door. You're talking to Hashem. It's a chutzpah. What kind of a davening is that? It's a chutzpah. How did he do it? So if he did it, Abraham did it. We only conclude that what he did is greater than conversing with the Shekhinah. Well, hakbalas b'nei Shekhinah, greater. Now we have to understand, why is that so? Why is it so? What could be greater than connected? We have a mitzvah in the Torah. One of the tiny mitzvahs in the Torah, it appears 3 times in different language, but the same root for all 3. The mitzvah say is written ubo sidbak. It says uladovka bo. It says another form of it. It appears 3 times in Devarim. The mitzvah say is ubo tidbak. The word devet means glue. So, if I have a mitzvah ubo tidbak, I have to glue myself to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That means I have to be 24/7 attached to Hashem. And it appears 3 times in different languages. Bosidbak. Now, what could be greater than that? What could be greater than that? I am down here in this earth, a lonely nothing, compared to the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, yes, I'm putting you down this earth, but I want you to keep your teshe with me. Don't lose it. Keep me in your mind all the time. You're walking in the street. You're looking and appreciating the beautiful flowers and the trees and the greenery, and you're taking in the fresh air, but you forgot about me. Who makes the trees? Who makes the flowers? I'm under it all. How can you forget about me? I want you to be attached to me when you're walking in the street also. When you're eating your sumptuous meal, which you enjoy so much, if I would take myself out of that food, you wouldn't have any meal. It only has the ability to exist as it is because there's kedusha inside the food. I want you to be thinking about that when you eat. Not only just to eat it and enjoy the food, but think about what gives the food its taste. Why does it taste the way it is? Why is it nutritious as it is? What's giving it all that koach? That's me, Hashem says. I'm inside the food. You think about that when you're eating the food? That's Ubo Sidba. Constantly, all the time, constantly attached to me. And this is what Hashem wants. This is one of the mitzvahs that say D'Oraisa. Of the 248 mitzvahs that say D'Oraisa, to think about Hashem all the time, not to be detached. Even a person is working for a living. He has a job to do. He's a technician, he's an engineer, he's a builder, he's a doctor, he's a nurse, whatever he is. He has to have Hashem on his mind all the time, at least in the back of his mind. It's got to be there. This is one of the mitzvahs I say. A Jew who lives like that, the world would be different. We wouldn't have all the service that we have in the world today if people would live with that mitzvah. Let's keep Hashem on your mind all the time. You always have something, does Hashem want it or not want it? Is he happy with what I'm doing? Is he not happy with what I'm doing? I have to have Hashem on my mind all the time, but he want me to do it. If I ask him, will he say go ahead and do it, or will he say not? This is the mitzvah of Ubo Sidbat. Now, the knock on the door, on his tent, and Abraham goes, and he leaves Ubo Sidbak. He's now double. He's attached. Could be more attached than having a session of nevuah with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. What can be greater than that as a human being? Can't do more than that. And he leaves it, and he goes to the guests. And the Torah says he's right. Psh, he's right. Doesn't make any sense. Huh? He didn't know that they were stop. Yeah, even if it's Elohim.
Shall explain this to strangers.
He's now talking to Hashem. The Parshat starts off. Hashem appeared to him. That means he was having a session with Hashem at the time. And the next Parshat says, Hashem comes to meet people. Maybe who knows what they are? Who knows what they be? It could be anyone. Travelers. They didn't have Jews in those days. There were no Jews in those days. He was the first Jew, Avraham. He didn't have any children yet. He didn't have... So who was it? Still, but you compare that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avraham knew the mitzvah of Abosid Bak. He lived it. People are not going to... They can wait a little bit. Finish the prophetic session, and then go to them. You have to go right in the middle. He leaves it.
But as Abraham was conversing with Hashem, Hashem may have directed him to open the door, because Hashem also directed the angels to knock on the door. So
Well,
Hashem,
but we don't know that.
yeah, we don't know that.
No, you're
Let me correct.
But Hashem knew that because the angels are the best.
No, we can't know what Hashem knows. You can't, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but we don't have a Chazal that tell us, the way the Chazal presented, that Hashem was left because of the guests. He left the session with Hashem, more than having a conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is greater than that. And we don't hear that Hashem told him to go. We don't hear that. That in the nevuah that he was going on, Hashem told him to go. He goes, doesn't say that. He made his own decision.
I don't ever hear rabbis ever say, interrupt your small esrog when you're in it. They always stay focused on it.
Exactly what I said. That's what you all said. You all said, I asked you.
Everything you're saying now is opposite. So my body's wanting to say, get to the bottom line. Where do we stand with this?
All right. This is all leading, opposite. It's all leading up. It's all leading up to the explanation. All right. And the Baal Shem Tov last week spoke about it, but we didn't do that part of the Baal Shem Tov. That's what I said. I want to make it up now because it's so important. I would feel terrible not giving you what I learned, and I want to share it with you.
All right, it's one.
Huh?
One.
Baal Shem Tov says the following. You have to understand this. It's not easy to understand, but you can understand it. Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew language, is not just another language, like German, like English, like French, like Italian, not just another language. Lashon HaKodesh has a special kedusha. Every letter in the Torah is imbued with special powers. Every letter. And every word of the Torah has also very special powers and understandings. Every one. There's not only the word itself, there's a lot of depth in everything that word says. And every word in the Torah has many explanations, and they all can be correct. They all can be correct. At least two. Every word in the Torah can explain at least two ways. At least two ways. At least two. But there are more than two. But at least two. Now let's take the word that we're dealing with now. The word oreach. A guest. That's it, Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov says, let's take this word oreach and split it up into two parts. The first part is Aleph, you spell oreach, Aleph, Vav, Resh, Ches. Oreach. Don't confuse this with the word Aleph, Vav, Resh, Chaf, which means long. This is not long. This is with a ches. Aleph, Vav, Resh, Ches. It means what we call a guest. A guest. But he says the word can be split up in two ways, as Rabbi Yaakov said, or the first three letters Aleph, Vav, Resh, and then the last is Ches, or Ches. What does that mean, or Ches? Well, or is what we translate to mean light. But it's not necessarily physical light. There's also spiritual light, which we can call energy. Energy. Energy is not something that you could see. It just exists. It's there. It has a power. It exists. It is a reality. It can be measured. Energy can be measured, even though you can't see it, but it can be measured. There's an existence, an actual existence of something which is not visible, a spiritual kind of power that we call energy. So what kind of energy are we talking about? Or ches. This energy is represented by the letter ches. What is the letter ches, number 8? What does it represent?
Me'al ha'teva.
Me'al ha'teva is something. Now the nature of the world, the physical world, is represented by the number 7. 7 days of the week, the 7 years of Shemitah, and so on and so forth. 7. The 7 days of the week. 7 days. Something which is above 7 is above nature. that means it comes from the spiritual world, Olam Haba. It can come from Gan Eden, right? Something of that spiritual world which we don't have direct contact with. So says the Baal Shem Tov. One more point. We said, remember that there are 10 sphirot, 10 levels of spirituality, 10 levels. We start counting from the bottom up. From the bottom up, not from the top down, from the bottom up. So you have the last one on the bottom is Malchus, then you have Yesod, then you have Hod and Netzach, and you work it all the way back up. Number 8 turns out to be Bina. It's Kesed, Chochmah, Bina, the first 3, and then you start Chesed, where Avraham starts, the world starts. In other words, all of the 7 lower ones are like the children coming out of Bina. Kesed is the crown, Chochmah is the right side, the male side, if you want to call it. Bina is the left side, the female side. And after her starts the 7 lower ones. So she is like the mother of all of the 7 lower spheres. Bina is called Aim Habanim, the mother of the children. So all of the lower spheres, they get their energy through Bina. Comes on the Baal Shem Tov again. He says, what is an Oreach? An Oreach is not just a guest. An Oreach, because the Torah uses that word, that means the essence of that person, even though we don't understand it, but the essence of that person is like a object of mitzvah. The object of that person, that Oreach, is like an esrog. He's like a lulav. He's like a shofar. He's like a tefillin. All of these things have kedusha. They are objectives of mitzvah. They have kedusha. An oreach, a guest, is also of the same category. He becomes an objective of mitzvah, something that has to be handled, something that has to be dealt with. Like you deal with a shofar, like you deal with a tefillin. You do something with them. You have to do something with the oreach because he is or ches. He's bringing in to your home light from another area, which is beyond the teva. He's bringing beyond the teva. He's number 8. 7 and below is the teva, is nature, is the world. He's bringing in something which above it, which is number 8. That is like to call the mother Bina. She is the one who is the supplier of energy to all the 7. And that's what you have when you bring in Orech into your house. Yeah.
When you're doing a mitzvah,
Yes.
you are patur from another mitzvah.
Yes.
So he was dealing with the mitzvah of speaking with Hashem. He was patur of the mitzvah.
It's not a patur means, but that's not asur. Patur is not asur. You're patur because you're doing this, and you can't do 2 things at one time. So what should you do? So keep up to what you're doing. Fine. But all right. So that's not such a problem. But if you want to do this one and stop the other one, you're allowed to go. You're patur. You're not required to because you're already doing the mitzvah, but you're not.
Is there a difference between a guest and a salesman?
Well, it's an interesting question. My Rosh Hashiva many years ago said he thinks that the mitzvah of Hachnasas Orchim is really on somebody who doesn't have any food, and you're supplying him with his basic needs. That's what he calls real Hachnasas Orchim. The Hachnasas Orchim that we have today, social visits or people coming over for a meal, they have their own home, but you're inviting guests, family, friends. He didn't really consider, but as far as the simple definition of an oreach, it doesn't seem to me only if somebody who doesn't have any food. Although that's the way it looks. The first Hachnasas Orchim that we have, the official one, is that one of Avraham. So I can understand what my Rosh Hashiva's statement is. It means somebody who really needs your invitation, who needs it. But it seems to be that from the definition of the word, as we're saying, or ches, it means he's bringing something into you from another area which you don't have. But to explain what I just said, let me try to give you. I was walking in the street the other day, and I was trying to understand myself. Why is it so great? We consider it or ches, and it's bigger than Hakpol Pnei Shechina. So the Baal Shem Tov seems to say, from his portion is, that since we say or Ches represents the 8th level, which we said before is Bina, and she is the mother of all of the lower ones, so she also influences the Shekhinah down below. So who is greater? If you have two people, a daughter and a mother, and you have to greet, who are you going to greet first? Do you greet the girl first, or you greet the mother first? Of course the mother.
Why is Bina higher than Shekhinah?
The Shekhinah is the lowest.
Malchus.
Malchus. The Shekhinah is the one which is closest to us, which we have connection to. We have the base of Mikdash, the Shekhinah is the base of Mikdash, we have the base of Knesset, the Shekhinah. That's something which is a Shachain, something which is a neighbor to us. We can relate to it in some way. But you can't relate to her mother, who gives the koach to the Shekhinah, who supplies it. Therefore, the Dola Hachnesef Orchim, because the Oreach is Orches. It brings in the energy of the higher levels, and therefore you deal with the mother and not the daughter first. Okay. Walking in the street the other day, I was thinking to myself, why is that so? Why? I mean, we can understand from the comparison of a mother to a daughter. We can understand you give the mother the cover first. We understand. But why is Hachnesef Orchim? Why is that Orches? Why is it? Why is it an Oreach, another person? I'm a person, they're a person. Why is it Orches? Why is that considered to be this extra energy which comes from the higher Olam than anything else? I don't understand why. This is my own svar, but you can give your own explanation too. Try to give me an answer, maybe it'll be better than my answer. I was thinking about this, but the conclusion that I came to. Am Yisrael, this object called the Jewish nation, have a special place in the creation. We were chosen from among all the nations of the world. We were chosen as something outstanding, something special. We're like Hashem's child. We have a special characteristic, special relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu that nobody else has. This is the way Hashem wanted it. Why He did it this way? It's not. That's beyond me. I just know what the facts are. This is what we say all the time in the bracha that just said, Shabachar Bodli Mikol Ha'amin. Well, Am Yisrael is a massive collection of souls. Massive collection of souls. Hashem wants, as we have learned many, many times, all the times, He wants achdus. He wants the Jewish nation to be united, not to have machlekes, not to have differences. If you have differences, but it's with respect. Elu ve'elu dimir l'kim chayim. Beishamai held this way, Beis Hillel held this way, but they loved each other. They loved each other, even though I have my way of looking at it, you have your way of looking at it, but we respect and we love each other. We'll have to find a way how to make it work. There's no negative feelings because you look at your way, I look at my way. We're all one nation. There's in the Torah itself. There's many ways to look at everything. We just said everything has a minimum of 2 ways to look at something, at least 2 ways. Every word in the Torah can be explained at least 2 ways, at least 2. And there's many more. In Ayin part of the Torah, somehow you can explain it in 70 different ways. Okay, but we got to get it. But the point is, Hashem wants this achdus. Hashem wants this achdus. So he said, well, Hashem wants the achdus, and He chose us as a nation. So automatically, we are all connected because we're all part of the Jewish nation. If you're born a Jew, that means you are one of the people that are called because Hashem calls His son. Hashem He chose us all one. That's all in concept. Conceptually, we all one. But there are Jews in Iceland, there were Jews in Switzerland, there were Jews in America, there were Jews here. Are we together? We're separated by thousands of miles. We're not together. So when I have an opportunity to strengthen that togetherness physically, not just conceptually. Conceptually, you can't be in any way separated because we're all part of one nation. You can't separate the nation. Conceptually, you're part of the nation. You were born a Jew, that's it, you're a Jew. But Hashem wants this Jewish nation to be united. That means physical unity. Physical unity. And when somebody comes to my house who's not part of my family, I'm bringing in part of Am Yisrael to have a new physical connection that I didn't have before. I'm strengthening. That is the orches. That is the special light that I'm bringing into my house. Hashem wants that. He wants to have the physical. He wants Klal Yisrael to be connected physically, all one. Shake hands with each other, hug each other, kiss each other, talk nicely to each other. But actually doing it, not just because you're a Jew in concept and therefore you're united to the Jewish nation. No, Hashem wants it actually lamaisa. He wants it to actually, and therefore, Gedol HaChnas is Orchim, Yosim HaPos Bnei Shechina. Remember, as we said before, the Baal Shem Tov says that the Ches, the Bina, gives her light to the Shechina too. So in a sense, Bina is the mother and the Shechina is the daughter. So obviously, you give more cover to the mother than you give to the daughter. So therefore, you go to the guest who brings in orches number 8, which is up on top, more so than actually conversing with the Shechina too. Yeah.
Well, this is good. They do.
What does God do? That's what
Which is exactly the opposite of this. What is
of course.
But these were going.
Excuse me.
These were going. You were mentioned like
There was no Jewish nation then.
I know. So
No, but all right. Well, we're talking about today. Unless it's Orchim, I imagine we're not talking about Goyim. Unless it's Orchim today, Chazal wrote that as a result. They meant Jewish, obviously Jewish ones. They didn't. I don't think they meant Goyim. I can't imagine if it would mean you have to bring Goyim into the house. That I can't. Yeah.
So I opened the door.
Yeah.
To who is knocking,
Yes.
but the barrel wouldn't let in.
A woman.
No, I don't say a woman, but let's say a chesed issue worker.
You would go into the house? Nah.
okay, so you're davening, the door gets knocked on. How do I know if it's a Jew or a goy?
You don't know.
So how do I answer the phone? I don't know.
I also wouldn't go.
Where?
Okay,
In
so
the middle of Shmona Esrei, to the door. I wouldn't go either.
So, how do you put it?
Well, I don't know if someone knocks on your door, it doesn't mean that he's an Orech, that he's looking for an invitation. He has to have something to eat. He wants your company. It could be some kind of somebody knocking at them. It could be the mailman. Who knows what it is? It could be anybody. But in those days, you're out in the wilderness. Who comes to you? Someone who needs it. He can find somebody else. He needs company.
I know a lady
Yeah.
who's coming my door, entrance door,
Yeah.
3 times a year.
Yeah.
And I know from how she knocks,
Yeah.
it's her.
Okay.
And she's asking for money.
All right. But she's asking for money, but that's not Hachmas means to bring them into the house and to sit them down and give them a place to eat, maybe to sleep. That's not someone who comes to ask for money, for a handout. No, it's not that. Yeah.
You put a sign up, I'll answer after she.
No, you could do that, sure. You can put, if you want to tell people to wait for you, you could say, I'm now in the middle of something else. Wait a few minutes until yeah, you could do that, sure.
what if your
Sometimes.
wife, you're down at home, your wife talks to you while you're exposed?
Sometimes,
You shouldn't even hear her.
Just double check.
Yeah.
sometimes it happens that in the morning I didn't go to shul. And then at that moment, the telephone, and now who it is, one of my sisters. So I say, in the middle of the prayer, I'm saying the prayer, so she understands that I am praying, and is this wrong?
No, that's not wrong.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine, that's fine. You heard his question. He's davening. That's one Esrei. He's davening Sukkot de Zimra, whatever it is, and the phone rings. So he can't talk in the middle of Sukkot de Zimra, but he can pick up the phone and continue davening so they can hear what he's doing. And therefore, they won't be upset that no one answered the phone. Now, here he's in the middle of davening, and they'll call back later. Okay, so that was last week, which we didn't have a chance to do last week, and I wanted to share that with you. That's one approach of the Baal Shem Tov. There's one more little way to understand it, and I want to give you what the Ramchal says. Ramchal says the following. It's also somebody, Ramchal was before the Baal Shem Tov. So I think we should give him the comfort of giving him his perush on the two. We have what we call in the Torah world, and something that we say all the time, that is l'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchintei. Before we do a mitzvah, you have in the siddur many times l'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchintei.
Baruch Shamar.
Before Baruch Shamar, before, well, you have it before many mitzvahs, before you start that. Yeah, it's many. What does that mean? What does that mean? L'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchintei. I'm doing this for the purpose of yichud, uniting kutsha brichu shchintei. The Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. What does that mean? To unite Kadosh Baruch Hu with the Shechina? Is it not the same thing? Just different words? Is it not the same thing?
It's to bring spirituality.
No, but the answer is the following. Everything in the world is able to be explained by an association with the Shem Hashem. The Shem Hashem, what we call the ineffable name, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. That is the inner, let's call it, the inner essence of God, expressed through letters. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Now we know it equals to 26, but that's not the point here. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, they are also representative of, as we said before, the 10 spheros. The 10 spheros. I'll tell you how it's split up. The Yud is Chochmah, starting from Chochmah Bina B'das. I'll get to the Kesher in a minute. The Yud is Chochmah, the Hey is Bina. Right, left, right, it's like father and mother. Then you have the 6 below that, and you have Vav. After the Hey, you have Vav. So that would be Chesed, Vura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. 6. So we already have the first 3 letters representing the first 9 spheros. Chochmah, Bina, then you have Chesed, Vura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. So you have 2 and 6 is 8. Malchus, the last one, 9, doesn't have a letter. Doesn't have a letter. She's the recipient of the 9 spiritual energies that exist. She's the recipient. And that recipient is where the Shekhinah is, and where we are, and where the Beis HaMikdash is, and where the Sefer Torah is. It's all connected to the Shekhinah. We are recipients of that 10th level. Now you ask me, where's the Keser? Where's the Keser? We just spoke about Chochmah. It's very, very interesting, and you have to understand how the great Kabbalists see things and how this is the Torah that we got from Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. If you take a look at a Yud, a Yud has a little chipchik on top. We call it kotz. A little thorn on top of the wood. That little thorn represents the Keser. Why should that, if that's the king of it all, the crown, why should that be just a little coat? All the other ones have full letters. The Yud is a Chochmah, full Yud, and the Hey is the Bina, all full letters. And the highest of them all should be, I would say, the biggest letter. No, not at all. Just the opposite. Just the opposite. The closer and the higher you get to Hashem, the less physicality that there is. It is not even a letter. To explain, make us understand, the higher you go, the more and more, further and further away you get from materialism. Even the form of a letter is some kind of materialism compared to nothingness. And Hashem is something which cannot be compared or described in any way. It's an infinite nothingness that exists. Hoya, however, here, time doesn't exist up there. There's no way to explain or describe Hashem. Ein Guf. Even the names are not the true essence of Hashem. Therefore, when we're trying to explain the highest of the letters, or the highest of the spheres, we say even the Yud itself, which is Chochmah, on top of that, you have only little coats, a little chip on top, a little thorn on top. That represents the Kesser. And Chochmah itself only is also the smallest of the letters of the Aleph Beis. It's also very high. Therefore, it's the tiniest of the letters, showing us the higher and higher we go, the smaller and smaller in materialism we get, and more closer to spirituality, which is nothingness. Okay, now, why did I tell you all that? Because we're trying to explain what does it mean, l'shem yichud kutshe berichu u'shchinte. Kutshe berichu u'shchinte. That is the following. Shchinte, shchina, that is the last hay. The last hay. The Vav represents the 6 spheres above that. So you have 6 and 1 is 7, and you have the other 3 up on top. Those six in the middle are called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the name of Chazal gave it. Or in Aramaic, Kutshe Berichu. Now, the Kesser, Chochmah, Bina, the 3 top ones, they have a special unity about them. Even though they're separate entities, they have a special unity about them, and they're considered to be like one. But they are 3. But they're considered to be like one because they're always united. They're very, very closely related to each other. The father and the mother are always together, and they have a crown on top of them. So, okay. But the lowest 7 have a little bit of a separation. They have to receive their energy from the top 3. It goes through the middle 6, the Kutshe Berichu, this middle 6, and it has to be transferred to the last one. That area of transference is something which is incomplete because of the spiritual world that existed before the physical world. As I still remember, we said there was a construction and there was a destruction. At the beginning of this year, remember, there was a destruction, what we call nefila, or a churban of some kind in the spiritual world. And we are given the responsibility and the I would say the privilege to try to make it again one unit. So we want always to connect those 6 with the 7th one or the other. That is still lacking in perfection. All of Klal Yisrael, all of the world, since the Jewish people came into the world, are working on making that connection. Every mitzvah that we do, every time we do something in the service of God, we should say, I'm doing it l'shem kutshe berichu or HaKadosh Baruch Hu u'shchinte. I want to make that connection. I want the Vav and the Hey to be totally, totally united. When that happens, Rabbi side, that's going to bring Mashiach. That's what we're working for. To make that, okay, now, comes along, getting back to what we started out with, this Hachnasas Orchid. Think about now the concept. The Ramchal was amazing. He was amazing. A great Kabbalist, and he had the ability of conceptualization. It's so beautiful. He says, you have a house, a home, and you have something coming into the home, something from outside, something inside the home, outside the home. Can that be understood in this way? The Vav and the Hey. The Hey is the container which has to receive the Vav. And they have to be united. When you bring in an Oreach, somebody from outside, not like the Baal Shem Tov thought, or Ches. It's a different idea. Different idea. The idea is that we are taking the Vav and the Hey and combining them. That's what we're doing with Hachnasas Orchim. We're taking the Vav, Kutshe Berichu, and combining it, making again another connection, and the Hey, trying to perfect that unity which has to be perfected. And all of Am Yisrael has been doing that from the beginning of the time until Mashiach comes. We're going to be doing that all the time. Every mitzvah that we do. It doesn't have to, it doesn't even have to be a mitzvah. If you sit down at a meal, and whoever serves you, the host, your wife, whoever's serving the meal, you can say to yourself, I don't want to eat just because it's nutritious and I have to keep my health up and therefore I'm eating. No. I want to do it on a much higher level. I want to have a yichud kutzuricho shchita. I want to make a yichud. I want to make this to be let's say, a working of a mitzvah. I want it to have that power. Then it'll have that power. You, with your kavanah, can give something of value that it didn't have before. If somebody else eat and you eat, it's two different worlds. I'm eating as one of my ways of showing my service to Hashem. I want to make a yichud of kutzuricho shchita. I'm bringing something else out of me into me. I am now the bias, I am now the hay, and I'm bringing something else into me. I'm making a yichud of kutzuricho shchita. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave that food a certain amount of kedusha, and it has a certain amount of nutrition. I'm bringing that into me. I'm the recipient. I'm now, in a sense, like the Shekhinah. And I wanted to have that value. This to be another expression of my service to Hashem. Now, eating like that is really something you could be proud of. You don't have to tell anybody else you're doing that. You do it yourself. You don't have to tell anybody. You do it in your own mind. You could say it in a whisper to yourself, I'm doing this. I'm bringing in something else. I want to make this connection. Says the Maharal, the Prague, not Maharal, the Ramchal, Mushkan Latzato, this is what Hachnosas Orchim is. It is Gedol Hachnosas Orchim. It's bigger to take in an Oreach, somebody who's coming from without, and making connection into the house, which is the hay. You're taking the vav and the hay and connecting them, more than just dealing with the Shekhinah by itself. Dealing with the Shekhinah itself, you're only dealing with the last level, but you're not making a connection with the vav and the hay. I'm talking to the Shekhinah, so I'm occupied with the lowest level, with the hay, with the last hay. But where's the vav? There's no connection to the vav. Hachnosas Orchim. That's bigger than just occupying myself with the hay. I'm making a connection with the vav and the hay, making that unity. Therefore, it's much greater than Hachnos Be'eshtu.
At the end,
Yes.
it has not necessarily to be a poor person. It can be,
No, not a poor person.
can be
No.
to everybody.
Yeah, anyone.
And what if you invite this person to a restaurant or to a hotel and you pay for him?
So that's tzedakah. It's giving us chesed. It's not a Hachnosas Orchim. Hachnosas Orchim means it has to come into a home, into a place that you're renting, where you're living.
Okay.
Where you're living. You take a person to a restaurant, treat him to a meal. That's tzedakah. Give us chesed. You're doing a kind act, but it's not Hachnosas Orchim. Hachnosas Orchim means coming into the house. Any questions?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
one word, only one word.
Yeah.
Chayei Sarah. So I can sell it Friday evening.
Okay, one more carousel. Let's see what we have here. Carousel. All right. This is a very, very deep Indian. It says here in this week's Parsha, Avraham is going to have a child. He's already 100 years old. He's going to have a child. It says Avraham Zakein, Bo Bayom Hashem Berech Avraham Bakol. Now, he was missing one thing. He didn't have a son yet. That he should call his son, not Yishmael. He wanted to have a son who's going to be like Yitzchak, a Jewish son from Sarah. He had Yishmael from Hagar. That's not what he's interested in. So the Baal Shem Tov says, Bakol, he says, Sheshamaiti. This is who's talking about here. This is from the Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov. No, from the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. Then the Machneh Fry. He says the following: Shem Berech Zaram Bakol. Take the word Bakol. Beis Kaf Lamed. Beis Kaf Lamed. Where is the gematria of Beis Kaf Lamed? No. Yes, you're right. 52. Kaf and Lamed, 30 and 20 is 50, and the base is 10. So it says 30, that is the gematria of Ben.
Nice.
Hashem Berech Ara Bakol, he gave him everything. He was missing one thing. He didn't have a son that he wants. Bakol means he had a son. In other words, we could. That's a quick word on the Parshat. In other words, people can think to themselves, because of that word, you could have all the wealth in the world. You could have everything. But if you don't have a son to carry on, to be your continuation, you're missing something very, very important. Very, very important. It's very much kedai to cry your heart out. Hashem should give you a wife, should give you the ability to have continuation, should have a son. That's B'kitzur. Very, very important. Hashem Be'elam B'kol. Yes.
I'd like to talk a little bit about why Avram did not argue against the binding of Isaac.
Well, all right. You asked a good question. The answer I heard from, I'll give you over the answer of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Lubavitcher Rebbe spoke on this topic that you asked just now. You hear what the question was? Why did Hashem, Abraham was told, sacrifice your son? That is a contradiction. Hashem told him beforehand, Yitzchak is going to be your seed, he's going to be a continuation. And later on he says, sacrifice him. Shechted.
Va'aleo. Va'aleo.
Shecht him and bring him as a korban. It's a contradiction. How could he have such a thing? The Goyim come along and they read the Bible too, the Goyim, and they say, what's the big deal? We also are willing to sacrifice for our ideals. We have our ideals, and we sacrifice for our ideals also. What's the big deal? The greatness of Avraham, he had his own. Baba Shem says there's a big difference. A big difference. To sacrifice yourself for an ideal, it's your ideal. It's something that you understand that you want. To sacrifice what your son was your continuation, not you have any ideal. It's only Ritzon Hashem. The only thing that's backing that, that's making you do it, is God's will. And even though it's contradictory to what he told you before, what do I listen to? He told me one thing in the beginning, now he tells me something which is contradictory. What do? I have to do what I'm taught to do right now. I'm taught to do right now this, and I'm going to completely cancel out what I was told before. Hashem changed his mind. Not my business why he changed his mind. But I'm mevatel myself. I'm taking my whole self and canceling it out. I don't exist. I don't exist at all. Only Hashem's Ratzon. That's what exists. That's it. And therefore, there's nothing to argue about. There's nothing to argue about.
Yes,
I exist only for Hashem's Ratzon. Hashem's Ratzon is what's koveya. That's what decides everything. Nothing else. All other considerations are batal muvutal. They're negated to Hashem's Ratzon. That's the difference between sacrificing yourself for your ideals as opposed to Hashem's Ratzon. Two different things.
What about Tanur Achnai? But code doesn't count. What is written in the Gemara in Mishnah? This is what we have to do, not the bat call.
I have to see the case. I can't do this on the spot. I have to take a look at it here. Okay, Rabbi, say, call to everyone.